Wonderful to have you here, and thank you so much for your time, Mindahi. And our Scottish accent is quite strong, perhaps. So, if hopefully you understand what I'm saying, perhaps you could start by giving us a little bit of introduction, if that's okay.
Okay. Hello, my name is Mindahi Bastida from the Otomi-Toltec peoples from Central Mexico. And it's an honor to be here with David today. Thank you for having me.
Very welcome. Thank you, Mindahi. So from what I read, it's quite extensive in terms of director of the Original Nations Program of the Fountain, caretaker of the philosophy of the Otomi-Toltec people, spokesperson for the Eagle and Condor Council, academic, spiritual leader. It took me quite a while to research it, but you know, it's incredible in terms of your experience and background. So I'm actually very honoured and quite nervous before getting started to speak with you. So, you know, thank you so much for taking the time out to speak with me. You know, I've started a social media page called Rep in Nature, which pays homage to nature and the ancients. And I guess to give you a little bit of background to my story, I'm Scottish, grew up in Scotland. I lived in London for 20 years. I moved to Portugal 4 years ago. And I think Portugal, I lived near these beautiful forests called in Sintra, which are really magical, mystical forests. And I think Portugal in some way has opened up my senses to connect with nature. And through spending time alone with rock formations and forests, I think it's led to, for me, profound experiences I had in Egypt last year. So after we've spoken, I can send you a number of photos, but they're all on my social media. But I have a number of photographs where there's a direct beam of light pointing at me when I'm around megalithic structures, or as my wife says, the light is coming from me. And of all people to happen to me, I've got no idea why it's happened. But it's put me on this journey. It's led me to speak to you today, but it's happened too many times for it to be a coincidence. And it's happened many times around megalithic sites, but also rock formations in nature. And I don't think anyone has the answer, but I believe it's due to my connection to nature. It's opened up my senses in some way. So this is completely changed my life. This experience, and you know, I've set up this Rep in Nature page to share my passion for nature and the ancients and sacred sites. And as I said, led me to speak to you today. But as part of that journey, I feel we really need to look to the past. We need to look to the ancients who truly understood. They had that connection with Mother Earth and Sky Father.
Yes.
Who I don't know. I feel that the ancients had a higher state of consciousness, which led to the construction of the pyramids. But before all that, they had this. They were in tune with Mother Earth, and I truly feel we need to look to people like yourself, spiritual leaders, guides, the indigenous peoples who understand everything's connected. And I haven't read your book yet, but I looked at a synopsis, and it kind of slapped me in the face, because it's like, this is exactly the journey I'm on, that everything's absolutely connected. And that's what I got a wee bit from your book. And hopefully this makes sense, but this has now put me on this journey, and I don't know, I'm loving the journey, and I'm really grateful to be here to speak to you today. And this is, I guess, my story and where I've got to today. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. I talked to quite a bit there, but yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing as well. And you know, nature and Mother Earth and the celestial bodies are here with us, and to be connected with nature is to be connected with ourselves, because we are nature. And you know, we are just another species in the concert of life. And I must tell you that I was in Egypt twice last year.
Oh, really?
One was because, and it was for the first time I went to Egypt. But at the beginning of the year, we went to several places, especially to Giza and Saqqara.
Did you go to the Serapeum and the step pyramids, Saqqara?
Yes, yes. And my colleagues went before to the south, Alexandria and many other places. And I couldn't be with them at the beginning because I went to participate in a world religious and spiritual gathering in Bali, convened by the Sikh. And was quite an amazing experience to be in Egypt. I have had previously known about Egypt as a very special place and where cultures evolved. And in my journey there just confirmed what I was not just looking for, but what I was intended to experience. Because as you know, there are so many similarities and also powerful sacred sites, like in Mexico.
Yeah.
You know, even though we have very different cultures, but we have common constructions like the pyramids. And
it's the same technology, it's been used.
Yes, yeah. Yes. So my experience there was quite relevant because it came to the fact that when we were over there, and you know, when you see this beautiful one of the biggest monuments in the world, like sculptures, like this sculpture that is in front of the Great Pyramid or the Great Pyramids, the Sphinx. The Sphinx is in between animal and between man, but it's just a reflection that we are very related with the animal world and the natural world and the mineral world. Because in our case in Mexico, we have this concept of Nahual. And Nahual means that we come from a lineage or lineages that are related sometime to the celestial bodies. Mm-hmm. Other lineages are related to some animals. Others are related to the plant world. Another to the fungi. Mm-hmm. In this case, in central Mexico and north or south, Mesoamerica, even to Nicaragua, we have these relationships with certain animals, especially dogs or coyotes or wolves, or even the eagles, the jaguars, the sloths, or the butterflies, and also the animals of the night. So when I was there in Egypt, when I saw this huge Sphinx, I have seen it in pictures.
But until you're there, yeah.
Nothing is the same.
Did you go inside the Great Pyramid?
Yes, we had the special permission to go into
all the chambers,
into the chambers and the shafts. I had many experiences, but I want to share with you one of my main experience. When we went to the shaft in the Great Pyramid, because we were around almost 20 people, mm-hmm. So we had to go to different chambers and and be very,
Queens,
you know.
kings.
So we had very few minutes in every single space.
Yeah.
Like in every space, no more than 10 minutes. And we were in the night. We began at 3 a.m.
Oh, really?
You know, because when you have special permits, because people, tourists, they don't have access to the.
So I had special permission as well as part of my group. So we had 1 or 2 hours subterranean chamber up to the Queen's and then up to the King's. Yeah. Incredible.
So we were in the Queen chamber, in the King chamber as well, and in some shafts. But this shaft was very special because it seemed that it was for a rite of passage or some very special ceremonies or ceremonies that are to be in touch with the universe. Well, anyway, I went in and suddenly I began to walk. You get one of these lamps in front of your forehead. But it was kind of an intrusive thing. So I turned it off. So I went to the end. You know, you have to go like walking like a dog, something like that, because the shafts are not tall. So
it's not built for us to be walking around, is it? It's not.
It's to be on our knees.
Yeah, and I'm quite big as well. So when I was going down to the subterranean chamber, I was exhausted, and I filmed it. And I posted it online, and lots of people are saying, "Why are you heavy breathing?" But once you've done it, I mean, unless you've done it, it's. And then when you come back up, and then the time I got to the Queen's chamber, I was exhausted. I just had to sit in the corner and just rest. I was shocked, you know. I was
because it's big, it's huge. In there is huge, and going down and coming up and coming up or going down is a lot. So when I was there, I
experienced something. Then did something?
Yes. I was there and I just turned the lamp off, and suddenly I was, I was concentrating myself to have this to be more aware about the place. So I opened my eyes. Everything was in dark. You couldn't see anything, and I can say that these places are very special because they used them for initiations or to be in touch with the universe or with some kind of special experiences. So when I was opening my eyes, I saw like some light, a reflection of light. So maybe I said, "Oh, somebody's in my back, coming in," but no, they should wait. So I turned my head to the back, and no, there was nobody. I saw this beautiful blue-green light, like iridescent, like moving, like a little river underneath. But
this was in the Queen's chamber, or which?
No, it was in the shaft. In the shaft.
Subterranean. Oh, on the way.
Yeah, in the shaft.
Okay.
So I was seeing this. Wow, but it was, the shaft is not big. It's just very small. But I could see that it was not on the surface of the shaft. It was beyond. So it was like seeing the universe, like a river. Wow. So I went to grab my eyes, and I went like this, and I closed my eyes, and I couldn't see that. So I opened my eyes, and it was there. It was there moving. So I began to acknowledge the presence of this light, and I began to pray, and it was moving. in a beautiful way, like when you see a river moving, like not so strong, not so soft, but middle term. But it was just amazing. So suddenly I was very connected to this light, and suddenly I heard a voice, but it was somebody. Hey, you need to leave because somebody's is
Behind
waiting
you.
for you. So I didn't really like it because I was connected. So I had to ask for excuses to the light, and when somebody was calling my name, the light went a little bit diffuminated, went away. So I said, I'm sorry, I have to go. But we were just given like 7 minutes, something like that. So I had to go back in the same position I came in because there is no way you can turn around, right? So it's a special experience. So I went back, and I remember when I was watching this light, when I was even more connected, I could see how it became bigger. It became bigger. I was like in the middle of, like if I was flying and seeing this beauty. So it was very, very powerful.
Yeah.
I must say, and this is like another dimension that I was in, and suddenly I saw like the cumulus of this light, and they were like kind of sparking, but it was like when you see galaxies and galaxies and galaxies and galaxies all together.
So this happened to me as well. So I've shared it on my Instagram. So I've got 2 or 3 videos where it looks like snowflakes. So it happened to me at the Serapeum, it happened to me at the Step Pyramids, and I think Karnak. And you couldn't see it with the naked eye, only through the phone. And I was with a group of my tour group was like 30 to 40 people, and it only happened to me, like from my group, and I've got it on video. For whatever reason, it happened to me, and I think it's energy orbs, and a lot of people just say it's dust or this or that, but I was there. I bloody experienced it. It was, it was not. I'm not some crazy person. It wasn't dust. And what you said about a universe. One of our guides, that's what he described it as. It's like a galaxy. It's like a universe.
Yes.
Going round, and it's dust you'd think would just fall. This was moving in all sorts of directions. I'll share the videos after we've spoken later. So I had these videos, these energy orbs, and also these beams of light coming up or coming from me. I've got one photograph where we're the group of 30 to 40 people. We're all standing outside the Great Pyramid, and I'm standing at the back, and there's a beam of light pointing right at me. I mean, it's kind of crazy. And this photograph was the tipping point for me when I knew, okay, this is something. It's not a trick of the light or a camera. This is something. I don't know what it means or why it's happened, but it's
the presences and the presence of the sacred, the light, the light. So
the earth energy, or these very sacred sites, and it's attracted to our energy. I don't know. I mean,
I have seen these kind of energies in the sweat lodge, in the Temazcal. We have Temazcales, the sweat lodges in Mexico. I have seen those lights there. So it was the first time in my experience over there, having seen this in a shaft. But I have seen those in some caves as well. you know, those energies are very present. But this time was very, very powerful because it was not just a little worm like I have seen, just very, you know, small pieces.
Yeah.
It was very vivid and it was kind of growing.
Yeah.
And
what
very
was your
powerful.
impression of the Great Pyramid when you came out? I mean, obviously the narrative we're told it's a tomb. That's what was your feeling in terms of tomb
Well,
or something else? Or?
you know, for the beginning, outside it was very cold, but inside was so hot, even if we were in the during the night.
Yeah.
But being there, I have two more experiences I can share with you.
Mm-hmm.
In the Queen's chamber, there was somebody waiting for us and receiving us. So they said, you know, you can lie down, and I went to lie down on the floor, and you could see the beauty of that chamber and the sarcophagus that is right there. So I was just allowed to be around, and I saw some inscriptions. But suddenly it was dark, you know, they were just little candles and things like that. And it's big, the chamber is big.
Yeah.
So I sat down and I was just kind of meditating, not trying to think anything. And suddenly I closed my eyes and I began to see a book, a very huge book, big.
Well,
like if I was in a...
It wasn't your own book, was it?
Sorry?
It wasn't your book, Ancestors.
Maybe. I think so. I think because I saw something very special. You know, I began to pass my, the pages, but it was just hieroglyphics, glyphs. And I saw many of the glyphs that are you see in the pyramids around, in the, in the descriptions around the tombs and so on. But I saw so many. And page after page, I saw like these figures like the Horus and the, the moons and the suns and so many Egyptian. But some of them I have never been in touch with. Maybe they exist in the real world. Maybe they are just heavenly figures. But it was so overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed because I saw so many. I couldn't. My head was not enough to receive that so much. So I said to my head, that's enough. That's enough. So I had to even open my eyes. Even opening my eyes, I still could see those figures.
Have you experienced this at other sacred ancient sites before, or is this unique to the Great Pyramid?
This is unique. This is unique because I have seen other things like other symbols and things like that. But it was the first time I have seen like a huge, gigantic book just passing with the mind, passing like, let's say the pages, but they were like lintels, like stelas,
Wow.
Huge murals, but just inscriptions. And they had kind of, they were like in three-dimensional. They were three-dimensional. They had kind of body, like body in between, in between the symbols.
Mm-hmm.
So it was quite an experience. So then I was said, you have to move to the King Chamber. So I said, oh, thank you, because it was too much. So I went to the King's Chamber, And there I had the most beautiful experience because, you know, every time when we enter a sacred site, we must ask for permission to the entities and deities and whoever sits around.
I mean, it's amazing that you're saying that, because whenever I approach, again, I put it all on my social media, whenever I approach sacred sites, I always say to myself, either verbally or in my head, may I approach, you know, I always ask for permission.
Yes, it must be like that, because we need to respect the entities and the, you know, the spirits, the caretakers who are around. And even if there is somebody who is taking care about the sacred site, we also, you know, like reverence, going in reverence. So I went in, and it was, there was already people coming out. So we had the chance to go to this sarcophagus. But I said, oh my God, this is not, I didn't feel good, like going just like the sarcophagus, like that, you know? So I said, I'm sorry, I'm going to go in, and please give me permission to go in, because it was kind of intrusion to be in so sacred space. So I went in, and I said, I want to offer something. And then I was there lying down, and I began to sing. I don't usually sing songs or sex songs, just like that. You know, it must be very special.
Do you remember what you sang or what you said?
Yeah. It's a sacred song that I use to in rituals. And but the fact is that when I was beginning to sing this sacred song, I was singing, you know, I began to sing this in a very beautiful way, and suddenly another voice came to my voice, just perfectly singing the same, but in another tone. In less than a minute later, another voice.
You're not talking about the people who were there with you?
No, because they wouldn't know this sacred song. They wouldn't know at all, because I'm singing this in the Otomi-Toltec language. And it was so beautiful. And the voices were so marvelous, so extraordinary, the sound. And you could even hear in the chamber all these voices.
The resonance is incredible.
The resonance is amazing.
Yeah.
So when I finished, I gave thanks, great thanks to the place, and especially to the sarcophagus, because maybe the king was there, you know, like. Oh, and then I came out, and the guy who was receiving us in that beautiful place is a South African spiritual leader, and also a very famous lawyer in South Africa. He's an Indian descendant from India, but he was there to receive us, and he didn't say anything. He just looked at me, very, you know, surprised what he was hearing. And so I just asked him, did you hear what I heard? And he said, yes. I heard your voice first, and then other voices joined you. So it was just, you know, and until today, if I remember, I can feel in my heart I can even the beating of my heart. I can feel it. It's extraordinary because I've heard in other places some voices, but never in synchronicity with my voice. Never. It was the first time. So it was a lot in the Great Pyramid. It was a lot.
Incredible.
And I had other experiences, beautiful and powerful experiences in Saqqara, for example. But in the Great Pyramid, it was just out of the charts.
Yeah, that's incredible. And what do you think about in terms of this light that has happened to me in energy orbs? Is that something you've heard about before? I'm just curious because
yes,
I turned up in Egypt. I've got like Horus. This is a pyramid with I don't know if you can see it. Actually, it's an artist. I think he's Mexican, Daniel Martinez. There's a man, the pyramid, a tree, and then the cosmos. And this kind of represents my belief that the ancients had this higher state of consciousness, which they could build the pyramids, but it was through their connection to Mother Earth.
And Father Sky, yeah.
I really, really believe that. But I was just curious if you've heard of, I don't know, earth energies or light things happening at sacred sites before, if that's...
Well, it's very common. It's very common to see or to witness manifestations. I'm going to share with you a recent experience I had in Sedona, Arizona. There's beautiful mountains around the desert. Just amazing how the formations of these mountains, they are very alike with the Great Canyon, kind of ochre and reddish sands or rocks. So in Sedona, I was invited by my beloved friend, Chip. And he said, there is a beautiful mountain here, just here in front of us. And he said, we are going to go every single night if possible. I said, that's wonderful. Between afternoon and night, there's people walking around. There are trails to go and for walking even early night. So the first time we went, it was quite impressive because I saw that it's called the Thunder Mountain. So we were there and we were acknowledging the place, and I was given some copal, some incense, some tobacco, to give as an offering. And we were praying. It was the first night, and there is no much lights around, so you could see the stars. You could see some most beautiful stars over there, the Pleiades and Orion, many others. So we went back and we came back next day, and we were there just witnessing how beautiful it was. And then we decided to go for a walk. So we went for a walk in one of those trails, and my friend and his wife couldn't go beyond a certain point because he cannot walk properly. And then I didn't realize that they were not walking with me to my side. So I kept walking. I don't know, more than 15 minutes, and then I was calling them, and nobody was around me. From far you could see some lamps. We didn't have any lamp. but suddenly I was on my own and I saw this beautiful rock in front of me. I just felt beautiful presence. So I stayed there for 10 minutes or more, I don't remember. And that connection gave me something because I said, oh, thank you, because I was feeling my heart in my body. Even in my hair, I had this, when you feel something and your hairs are kind of in vibration, that's like when your hairs go off.
Yeah.
Goosebumps, or how do you say?
Or you feel the hairs in your...
Yeah. Erecting the hairs everywhere. So I felt that, and I went to look for my friend and his wife. So they were there, just staying there, very near to the entrance. And I said, oh, I thought you were with me, and I explained to them the experience. So we went back to the where you leave the cars and to the place where we begin the walking. And suddenly we were going to go into the car, and suddenly I saw this light. This light that it was so, but it was not a small light. And the mountain is huge. I saw this light like, coming or embracing the whole mountain like this, like waves of light. And it was not so powerful at the beginning, but later on, and I said to them, hey, see those lights? And they said they were strange and looking at these lights. It was like when you go to a place where, like disco, when you have all of these lights with different colors and things like that. But it was very, very moving around. They were moving around the mountain in one direction from left to the right, abarking the whole mountain. So then something like in our chests, in our hearts, kind of open, because it was so amazing. And then we saw some lights in far away, and there were some people were walking back from their walkings. And I said, this is different than those lights. So my friend said, okay, let's wait until they go. So we were waiting for them to go more than half an hour. And in all of this time, the lights were just powerful all the time.
Yeah.
No stopping. And then the people who were coming back from their walks, they left within an hour, and these lights were still. We stayed there for more than another hour, but
Did you photograph it or film it?
Let me tell you. Yes, let me tell you what happened. So we stayed there, and we were sure that it was nothing like a little lamp trying to cover the whole mountain. It came from the mountain, these lights from inside outside, and in this reverberation of abarking the whole, like in waves. But you could see in the lights different colors, very faintly, but green, blue, even purple. Oh my God, many different colors, even this kind of yellow, but very diffuminated yellow, tending to the white. but it was sometimes yellow. Many, many colors. And then we said, and we were hungry because we didn't have dinner early because we arrived there around 6:37, and it was already almost 10 p.m. So we said, let's go and have something and come back. But I said, maybe when we come back, it's not going to be anymore there. So we were hungry anyway. Before leaving, we took pictures, we took video. Nothing in the video, nothing in the camera. Couldn't catch it. Couldn't.
But the people with you, they could see it as well. So.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
We were three of us. My friend Chip and his wife and myself.
Yeah.
But it was very powerful. It was not just like something over there, no.
Yeah.
It was very, very big. Because everything around was dark and you could see the light.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, and then we were very, my friend was, he was telling how the camera doesn't record. Even if I asked permission to record the light, it didn't come. It didn't come through the pictures or the videos. Anyway, we went to have some dinner and came back.
God.
Nothing. It was gone. So we kept almost every day when I was there for 2 weeks. We kept going back. Next day, I just saw this light myself, and they couldn't see, but it was less evident. Less, you couldn't see properly, but I could see a certain point of the mountain, the middle. There was this energy, these lights, but they couldn't see. I was telling them, look, just, and try to not to see directly, try to see like in this way, and when you can perceive, they couldn't see. And next day as well, it was a little bit less, but I could see. And the following days it was impossible to see anymore. But I know that this mountain is so special, and we saw those lights.
Yeah,
right there.
I mean, one thing I always say is there's magic in nature if you open your eyes to it. I think we've lost that kind of awe and wonder of nature. You know what I mean? I think we don't look at nature through children's eyes, where it's treated with awe and respect and wonderment. When I go for my walks in the forest, I just sit down, and listen to nature. Yeah, do you see what I mean? And just kind of just be present. You know what I mean? It's kind of I think we've lost that. We I don't know. I can only speak for myself, but I think we've lost that awe and wonder of nature, and taking it for granted, and just seeing it as a tree or a forest or a mountain, and not actually with that kind of reverence and how everything's connected. Does that make sense? We've kind of
yes, it makes a lot of sense.
The modern day consciousness, I'm sure you talk about it in your book, but we're caught up with consumption. We're not really just let's be present and have a look around.
Yes, because when we have the chance to be in connection with the sacred, you need to be really open, with no prejudices, no garbage, let's say, in the mind, so you can see, you can feel. And that's why when you pray, you have an intention. You pray with an intention, and that opens your heart. That opens possibilities. but really not in a rational way, but in a connection, in a connectivity, sacred way. So yes, you're right. We need to be like little ones, more innocent. Let's say more in a more sacred way, because you don't have prejudices here and this and this, or so much information that is overwhelming our brains that doesn't allow us to really be in touch with nature, with say the sacred.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to be like children, as you say, or like people beyond the good and and evil, beyond that.
And how would you like open someone's mind to that? You know, if I was doing this sort of stuff 10 years ago, the old version of me would say I was a bit crazy, that I was just sitting in a forest and, you know, being present. So I don't know, how do you teach someone what is sacred, what, you know, reciprocation, the connected universe? Do you see what I mean? How would you articulate that to someone who's not of that mindset, or
well,
because that's what we need, don't we? We need people to be respectful, yeah, and to understand everything is connected.
It's a paradox, because I could say that we need to wake up. We need to open our eyes, open our senses, even though it seems that we are awake, but we are not, because there is so much happening around the world that sometimes people don't realize that this is day or is night, or how the day has passed. Don't people even realize that a complete day passed by and they never even had the chance to look at the sky, or to look at the trees or something like that, or even the buildings.
Yeah,
it's just we are so in this way of being, modern way of being is overwhelming, because we need to slow down, stop, and reverse all the damage that we have created in our brains, in our touch with nature. So one way to say is that we need to remember that we are humans and we are just another species, and we need to reconnect, to reconnect with nature, to reconnect with ourselves, and to know where we come from. That's the reason I wrote this book, because it's important to know the lineages, the places where we were born, and what is the importance of knowing where I come from, is because then I know who I am.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's difficult.
That's something I probably haven't done, actually. I'm Scottish, but in terms of my ancestors, I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. Yeah.
So it's a big task for some, more than others, because we need to dig in the stories, in the legends, in the histories, in the personal and familiar, in the community stories, or in the history as a whole, because we are one human species and we are related to other species.
Yeah.
So also to the entities and to the mountains where we were grown, or to the beach, or to the sea. So it's important to know who we are. So
connected.
And then
I'll show you something I keep in my pocket. It's like a acorn. I don't know.
Oh yes.
And you can see the patterns. There's like a
like a cross.
Like a cross. And I'm obsessed by seeing patterns in nature. I mean, I'm not a scientist or this or that, but when I see patterns in nature, kind of blows my mind. I mean, it's just an acorn, but it's more than that. When I see this, I'm like, when I see these patterns in nature, it just brings me back to my point that everything's connected.
Of course.
This sort of stuff blows my mind. You know, on this journey that I'm on, when I start to learn and see things like this, it's like, for me, it's kind of mind blowing. And you know,
yeah, because there is intelligence everywhere. There is intelligence in everywhere. But I tell you, we are so disconnected because we think we are the most intelligent species.
Yeah.
But we are not. Actually, we are
not based on our history. Yeah.
How we have treated ourselves and the sacred elements. So we have produced and things and have done so many things, but not in a good way. We have destroyed the collective
it's cut our connection with Mother Earth. That that connection's been lost.
Yeah, many rivers are kind of dying or are dead in this world. They have transcended. The same with some valleys, and because of urban sprawl or things like that, and we don't respect even the sacred sites or where we live. We pollute the waters, so and pollute the air, pollute the earth, and even the energies. So we must remember that we are here for a purpose, and the purpose is not to domain or to take over, but to take care and to collaborate instead of compete.
Yeah.
So that's why we always need to honor our ancestors in a good way, not in the way that they were destroying or trying to have a good life, but to have a good living. It's different.
Yeah.
The good life is to take over, and the good living is to take care. It's very different, because one is to live from the earth, and the other one is to live with the earth as an intelligent being as well. Because now we are in such a difficult crisis that we see how ecosystems, even the human health, the health as a whole is in danger. So that's why we need to honor our ancestors in a good way. So we know who we are, and we know what to do for this and not just the 7 generations to come, but the whole life as a whole for the future. Because the future is here, it's happening every moment. Every moment is happening. So we are in the mystery, we're in the middle of the mystery of the past and the future. We are the result. And we are in between. It's like we're in between in the day and the night. Because that's the spark, that's the light that gives us life. So talking about divine remembrances of lineage is so important, because then we really know what to live, what to give, inherit to the next generations. Because otherwise, what are we inheriting to them? So that's why this kind of experiences that we are talking about are so important, because then you realize that we are not alone. There are other manifestations of love, manifestations of connection, other dimensions that we need to work so hard to have access. I mean, not just spiritually, but mentally, but also with our bodies, because we were given these bodies for a purpose, not to transcend in a good way. And we need to take care about our own bodies, what we eat, what we drink, what we
consume.
Yeah, what kind of air we breathe. We need to take care about all. And we are putting ourselves so many wrong things. It's like not doing not respecting, not giving reverence to life as sacred. So we need to begin with us, but also with our families. We need to come together because we are social beings. Actually, human beings, we tend to come together, but now it's so difficult in this modern world because sometimes you don't even know who is living in front of your apartment. And sometimes it's very sad for millions of people. It's like that. So we need to connect and reconnect ourselves in community. We need to recover community.
Yeah.
And in recovery community, we recover our way of being in this world. And also we can recover ecosystems. We can recover. And one of my friends is saying, you know, we need to restore ourselves, the climate. But how we are going to restore the climate if we don't restore ourselves?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work, yes, because we have to put intention. We have to put a lot of race consciousness and work just in a beautiful way.
And we need to look to the past. I think we truly need to look to the past. And as you said, we think we're at this pinnacle of advancement or consciousness or spirituality, but if you look around the world, we've kind of gone backwards. I mean, you know, we really truly need to look back to our ancestors. I was in Mexico for the first time in December. I went for Christmas with my wife and kids, and we went to Tulum, and I obviously wanted to go to Teotihuacan and all these places, but I couldn't. It was too far away and leave the kids and all the rest of it. But we went to Tulum, and there was too many people. It was like absolutely mobbed with tourists, and I was holding my kids, and I always try and experience these ancient sacred sites and feel it. I couldn't get it at Tulum at all. It was just so many people. And you know, and actually, as an example, before you get to the entrance to Tulum, there's a Starbucks, and that might give you a feel for the modern day world. And then we've got this ancient sacred site, and there's a bloody Starbucks outside it. Do you see what I mean? I couldn't tune into this this site at all. I need to do it on my own when there's absolutely no people there.
You know, some sacred sites have been desecrated, like Tulum. Even though it's a sacred place, it's a sacred site, but because of tourism, massive tourism is just being desecrated. There are many other sacred sites that you can go and have that experience, and with this mindfulness of touching the sacred. So yes, it's what has been happening to many other sacred sites. They have been desecrated, not just because of tourism, but because of greed, you know, oil companies taking over mining, uranium sprawl, and so many others, like even religious acts, because some sacred sites have been taken over by other religions. You know, they built on top of the sacred sites. So a new temple that is not, they don't respect the origins. So we need to slow down, stop and reverse all the damage that we have created. And talking about this, it's also, you know, when we think about relics, sacred objects that are in possession of other peoples, or institutions or museums, they need to return them to the origin, to the peoples and to the territories, because they were built for a purpose, or they were, worked for a purpose. I've been seeing in so many places, like in museums, come on, they are like trophies of war.
Yeah, well, the British Museum in London, I was there last year. So, yeah, the whole place.
It's insane. It's insane. So those kind of things, we as humans, we need to reconsider our place in the world. So we need really to, if we are wishing or willing to ask to have access to these experiences, to get this kind of extraordinary experiences, to be in touch with the sacred and mystery, well, we need to behave. We need to behave, and we need to be mindful about how we approach not just sacred sites, but anybody, anywhere, and people who wants to go and to have this kind of experiences, they really need to be mindful, or to have consciousness how to behave in such a way that not just prayers are important, but actions. Actions. We need to act in a proper way, in a beautiful way. And we also we need to have beautiful thinking. Beautiful thinking, think beautiful is so important. It's so important, because then you bring good energy and you have more access to this phenomena that is here, is there, is everywhere. But yeah, we need to be mindful about why we are here in this world. But remember,
it's chipping past that modern day consciousness, which is thinking about, I don't know, social media or celebrities or consumption. It's getting a hammer and chisel and getting through that, isn't it? It's yeah, perspective.
Yes, yes, we need a long-term way of living in a very mindful ways to take care about ourselves, and is to take care about nature, is to take care about family, the community, and the territories. So it's been a wonderful journey until today in that respect, and we can even share other things like, how to carry out ceremony, how to receive the sun, how to receive the night. And it's important to know as well that everybody could have access. Everybody. Just we have to be in tune. We have to be in harmony with nature. And as I say, to be in harmony with nature is to be in harmony with ourselves. We are nature. But harmony with nature means also to be responsible about our acts. And to be responsible, it takes a lot, because then you are not going to stain the water that you are using. And the air we are breathing, you are not going to pollute it. And the crisis that we are having now because of climate change, so-called climate change, and which is a climate crisis, is because we have pumped so much garbage in the sky and in the sea and in the rivers everywhere. These gases are not just there because of naturally putting them there, because it's because of the CO2 that is being, is being pumped into the atmosphere, and the butane and other gases that are creating this disruption with father sky. We call father sky because it's not just the atmosphere; it's an intelligent entity.
Yeah. But I think it's like a vicious circle, because I think from my experience, when you're talking about being in harmony with nature and connection, like I as I get old, I'm like 45 now, but I think being in connection with nature, you need less stuff. You don't need things, objects. Like I don't need a fancy car. I don't care about any of that shit. Objects. It doesn't matter to me. It's irrelevant. Obviously, I want a comfortable place for my family to live or whatever, but I don't have a need for like buying stuff and consuming. Do you see what I mean? I think nature changes that. I think nature opens your eyes to that. It's all that stuff's irrelevant to me. It doesn't matter. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yes, consumption and overconsumption is a problem because we don't need that much. And recently we had this pandemic. The so-called COVID is another manifestation of these viruses that are always have been here. It's just that they appear as an intelligence to say, hey, slow down. And what happened? People saw that we don't need that much. When we stay at home, we don't need that much. Why do we need to buy and buy and buy this? And sometimes you don't use the things. It's just garbage sometimes. And we learned something, but people sometimes learn and they forget because it's a big need it's the dominion way of being or thinking or acting. So we need to go from dominion to cooperation and really to respect life systems. So that's true. We don't need a lot. We don't need as you say, a fancy car or a huge house. We don't need that much. What we need is to really think our place in the world and how we can collaborate. Because if we don't do that, if we don't collaborate, we are going to have a lot of problems, and it's happening. It's not just because we are so many. We are the population is overpopulated the world, but because the distribution of food is not equitable, and because of what is happening in the world is that also the lands are being destroyed with so many chemicals, and the sicknesses that we are sick, not just because what we breathe, it's because what we eat. Processed foods are not good at all, So we need to go back in some way, little by little, to the origins and produce as much as we can our own food. But it's so difficult for many because many they don't even have a piece of land. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen little by little. People is going to begin to reconnect because there is no other way. And the government
you're hopeful. You're kind of positive in terms of
It's just a process. It's just a process. It's just like when you have. When you don't have, you have to adapt and adjust what there is.
Well, it's a process until Mother Earth says enough is enough.
Yeah.
And
Mother Earth is speaking.
Event happens.
Mother Earth is speaking already. The fire, the air, the sacred elements are speaking. The earthquakes is a way to say, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
The pandemic and but what I want to say is that we need to slow down this destruction, stop and reverse all what we can do and restore ourselves, just in a nutshell. But also that we have a great opportunity as human species to come together. And that's what we call a unification process. Because united, we can do it, but with good mind, good thinking. And in any way, we are going to suffer. We are already suffering. So many societies, so many places are suffering already. But it's going to be even more or worse because, you know, the systems are not good, not so good anymore in many places. So we need to adapt. And we need to think about how we are going to do it. And of course, in some places it's going to be it's being so difficult already because survival is at stake. And but if we are intelligent, we can collaborate to rebuild ourselves, especially the families and communities at the local level. Because at the global, you know how it is. It's a mess. At the global level, it's a mess. You know, the consumption and overconsumption is so crazy.
Yeah.
Even we didn't learn with this pandemic, with this COVID. We suffer. We think that it's over, and it's not over. It's here. We need to change. We really need to change. Not just to be adaptive or resilient, but really to change and restore the ways of living. So yes, it's not that I'm hopeful. Even the word hope is not. I respect it. I like it, but it's not enough. We need to act. Because hope is a way to say, oh, you know, something is going to happen and let's wait. It's a way to not to act, and we need to act. Hope with action, let's say.
Yeah.
Because some people just hope. In other ways, to pray is very relevant, it's important, but praying with actions are powerful.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. And that connection is what we need.
Small steps, a drop in the pond. And I just feel that it's going to, I box, so I've boxing for many years. And I feel it's going to take like some sort of punch in the face from Mother Earth to say to us, okay, enough is enough. There's going to be some sort of tipping point where there needs to be a change, or we have no choice. But and I don't know, until then it feels like we're going to continue in that kind of similar kind of behavior. But people like yourself chipping away and trying to change that, you know, mindset and consciousness. We obviously need more people like you with louder voices that people, you know, pick this up and hear it. Yeah, my sense is just people are too busy caught in their day-to-day and, you know, caught in the world and rising living costs and this and that, and, you know, taking that step back and talking about that collaboration and how everything is connected. Until I feel until something drastic happens, then the mindset is going to continue. Maybe that's a little bit pessimistic, perhaps, but yeah, that's a kind of
So that's what happens. Yes, it's a way of living, and way of thinking, way of acting and feeling. So we have the opportunity, and for some it's going to be difficult, and it's being difficult. For some, much easier. In some places, you know, they don't even going to have the opportunity to think, or some people don't have access to this information. So Mother Earth or nature is going to speak and is going to put us in the place we need to act.
Yeah.
In other words, in other words, we are going to learn whether
Learn the hard way.
whether we like it or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's better to begin.
It's education, isn't it? It's kind of
right.
Yeah.
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 So thank you for this opportunity, David.
Oh, you're very welcome. I really appreciate it. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. It's as I said, I was a little bit nervous before we spoke, but yeah, it's been a privilege, and yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure, and thanks for having me again. And see you around.
Yeah,
in this journey.
In this journey, for sure. All right. Well, thank you very much, Mindahi. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Ciao.